Hello, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world. My name's Andrew Flattress, Braille Product Manager HumanWare, and today with me is Peter Chusik on this Brailliant BIX and Mantis Q40 firmware update version 2.4. Hi, Peter.
Hey, what's happening, Andrew? How are you?
I'm really good. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm living the dream, as you know.
Y- As you are. Yeah, you always are. Everyone lives the dream in Chicago, right?
That's right. Chicago, Illinois. Well, I'd like to welcome everybody and briefly talk about where we are, and that is that we are, yes, I am in Chicago. Andrew is in the UK, but we're on a different platform from our normal webinar experience, and so we definitely are aware that for some of you or many of you, this might be new. For us, it is also new. We're giving this a try. This doesn't mean that we are trying this out. We certainly have access to the Teams webinar platform and want to assess and kind of look at the functionality of it. I will say, as a totally blind user, the usability could use some help. And I fully understand that if some of you are struggling with this, I will point out some shortcuts later on. Just so you do know, Control Shift M, as in mute, will mute or unmute your microphone if you're on a PC. Control Shift H will eventually, or as you would say, Andrew, H, will eventually hang the call up. Control Shift K, which I don't have any sort at all, any sort of guidance as to why that is the command, but Control Shift K will raise and lower your hand. So again, as we kind of walk through this, we know that it's a bit different. Bear with us, and certainly your feedback is much appreciated. We know that new things can be annoying, certainly might lead to some frustration and some negative feedback, and that's fine. We want to hear it overall, but give it a shot with us, and let's see how this goes. And who knows, maybe we will revert to our old ways because old habits die hard, right? Or maybe we'll stick with this. We'll kind of give it a whirl. So thanks for being here on this new platform.
Okay, so let's have a look at the agenda for today's webinar. So we have how to get the new update of version 2.4, and version 2.4 is applicable for the Mantis Q40, the Brailliant BI20X, 40X, and of course those that are kind of in other areas, the Braille One even. We'll then look at 2024, an overview of what we did. It's definitely been a busy year for HumanWare and our Braille displays. We'll also look at the summary of the new 2.4 update, some future focus points, and then we'll move on to a demonstration where we'll look at how to initiate pairing with Bluetooth headsets and speakers for the Mantis and our Braille displays, our Brailliant, using the Wikipedia and Wiktionary, and then a quick introduction to WordNet, which is the offline dictionary, and then a feature that was introduced on the 2.3, which was customized command keys. That's the agenda. So just to go through how to get this update. Now, there are a couple of ways of getting this update. The first one you can choose is downloading the update file. So the update file is stored under the HumanWare support page. So if you go to the HumanWare support page of either the Mantis Q40 or the Brailliant BIX, there'll be a software link, and under the software you'll have available the software 2.4 available to you. So you can download this file. It will be an extension of SWU, and that file then can be saved onto your USB stick or a SD card. And then with the unit turned on, insert your USB or SD card, and then the Brailliant or Mantis will recognize that update file and it will prompt you to continue. It will give you, do you want to install the update? A couple of things to mention there when you're doing the update is making sure that you have 50% or more battery. So if you don't have 50% or more, you'll likely get the message to say that you'll need to charge your device in order to update the device. Also make sure that when you are saving that file, make sure it's in the root of the SD card or USB, so not in any other folder. Option 2 is by far the most easiest method to update, which is over the air. Of course, you'll need to be connected to the internet. So firstly is making sure you are connected to the internet. And if you go to settings or options, so if you've got the Mantis, you'd go to settings. If you've got the Brailliant, you'd go to options, and there'll be an item called software update. In software update, there is an automatic check. If that is checked, then you'll you should be automatically notified that there is an update available and if you want to install. If you don't get that prompt, you can go to the check for updates option, and that will then start the process of downloading the installation, and then you can install. So they're the two ways of getting access to the version 2.4. Let's have a look at 2024. It has definitely been a busy year for us when we look at our Braille displays. We have introduced 3 versions throughout of 2024, and some of the highlights that I want to mention here is streamlining the terminal mode, and a lot of all this has come from our feedback from our European friends, dealers, partners, users. Streamlining the terminal mode was definitely something that was needed. We wanted to make sure that a Braille display is intended to use just as a Braille display with no intelligence as well. So there is that option that you can do as a user to just start your device in a terminal state without any other internal applications. And so that was introduced in one of the earlier versions. We've improved the battery autonomy. Again, feedback in the field was saying that when they turn their device on after the weekend, it just wouldn't turn on. So we did introduce the auto power off options, and that has reduced a lot of those barriers. We've added some libraries, new libraries added for our DAISY Online libraries. Now that we have support for audiobooks, we have made those DAISY libraries available, including a new French library that's not part of DAISY, the EWOL, I think you pronounce it. And then those DAISY libraries and other libraries will be soon added to the Mantis Q40 now that Mantis Q40 does support audio. So that is something we'll be certainly looking at the next version for Mantis. We've introduced a more versatile Braille editor. So the feedback that came was people wanted to prepare Braille documents using their Mantis Q40 or their Brailliant B40 and prepare that to be embossed. So we have definitely introduced a lot more options within the Braille editor. Customize the command keys. This is going to be demonstrated to you all today. Again, utilizing buttons that we can do within our internal apps. New file formats that we've supported. EPUB 2, which has just came out for the 2.4 version, and the ODT files. Again, new extensions that we're now supporting. And then, of course, lots of bug fixing and other smaller enhancements, including Apple Watch support and Apple TV support. So in the 2.4, we have introduced text-to-speech for the Mantis. This may be applicable for some of you, may not, but I do know we've had some great feedback on this. The Mantis does not have any internal speakers or audio capabilities in any way, shape or form. So what we're doing is we're able to route the audio through Bluetooth. So once you've connected Bluetooth headsets or speakers on your Mantis, then the audio will come through. And that's something that we'll demonstrate to you today. But also our Braille displays, other Braille displays like Brailliant 20 and 40 can also benefit by connecting to headphones and speakers as well. We've introduced Wikipedia and Wiktionary. These two modules are online modules, so you will need to be online in order for these to work. And what's great about these is that they are also localized, or it will take you to the relevant particular page depending on your language. So for example, if you're using your Spanish Braille table and you want to bring up your Wikipedia or Wiktionary, it should route you to the Spanish page. So it all comes down to what Braille table that you are using, and that will decide whether it goes to a Spanish version or an English version. We've also introduced an offline dictionary. So for those that are unable to connect online, we've introduced WordNet. Now, WordNet is only available in English only. So if you are using an English Braille table and you do the shortcut to bring WordNet, that will become available. If you've got, again, I'll refer to like Spanish or Italian Braille table, unfortunately, WordNet will not work because at the moment we've only introduced the English version. Some of you will be glad to hear that we are now Android Braille HID ready. We've spent a long time working alongside a Google team to introduce or support a Braille HID for Bluetooth and USB on the Android devices. Now, in order for this to work, you will need to have TalkBack 15 and Android 15. It's not backwards compatible, unfortunately. So you need to be on Android 15, TalkBack 15, and of course have the version 2.4 in order for the Brailleback to work with our displays. Now, it's not going to work today, though. I am told it's not been fully pushed by Google yet. Google will be soon announcing the availability of this support next year, early next year. We've also introduced 3 new voices. Melanie, which is a French Canadian, another Melanie, which is an English Canadian voice, and Vidi, which is a English Indian voice. Those 3 new voices are available through the Acapella engine. And lastly, just want to show that we've now introduced Apple TV support for all you Apple lovers out there. So we've now got full support of Apple TV. Looking at the future then, and I've just highlighted a few items here. There's a lot that or a wish list, shall we say, and we know that there's many things that we can do with our Braille displays, but I just want to highlight a few things here. In particular, this is the media portion. Now, we know when we look at the Brailliant BI40X, we do have an unused microphone. Okay, it's not yet active. So we definitely need to look at activating that and utilizing that recording as a hardware, and look at introducing a way to record files, a way that we can support other file formats like MP3 and have a media player. Maybe an internet radio as well. So that's something that we'll be looking into the next year. Changes to the library protocols. This is something that is, I guess, not as fun, but is needed. So we need to make sure that we are up to date and stay updated with all of these protocols that these libraries connect to. Otherwise, we'll find ourselves without any connectivity to those libraries. We're going to look at adding the libraries to the Mantis Q40. So now that we have audio support through Bluetooth, we'll be able to add those DAISY libraries. EPUB 3, big talking point amongst everyone here about reading books. So EPUB 2 is supported now, and make sure that it's unprotected. So EPUB 2 unprotected files will work on the Brailliant and the Mantis. EPUB 3, if it's unprotected, and it does have an option to downgrade to EPUB 2, it could work. So in some cases, if it is an EPUB 3 file, they sometimes have a mechanism that can downgrade to EPUB 2 and it still plays that back. But not all of them will be able to do that. So if you're trying to open up an EPUB file, if you do get error messages, the likelihood that it's just not supported, or it's protected, or it's an EPUB 3 that doesn't have the downgrade compatibility. And we have increased some file sizes, and that's still something that we need to work on. So the version 2.4, we did increase some of the sizes available for individual files, certainly for DAISY files, but we still know that there's some work to be done still. So definitely need to look at, can we increase the file size even more? So these are some of the points that we'd like to work towards in the future. Of course, there's a lot more to add there, but it's just a quick high summary of what we'll be looking at into next year's scope. Right, I'm going to introduce you to Peter, and Peter's going to take it away with the demonstrations of the Brailliant 40X and Mantis. Are you there, Peter?
I am here, and I am ready to do a bit of demo. Let me just make sure this is working. As you know, I'm working with a bit of a new setup around here. So hopefully, again, you will hear the speech. I'm going to do this demonstration on the Brailliant BI40X. The Mantis equivalents, if I do not remember them, Andrew will fill me in on, because sometimes my brain working in parallel can be a bit odd. So I will make sure, though, that we have all of the Mantis equivalents listed where needed as well. So, for the various shortcuts. I'm going to demonstrate first, again, a feature specific to this year's BI40X updates, which is how we customize our command keys. I'll then get into the pairing of a Bluetooth audio device. We're going to look at getting into where the new voices are found. And then we'll look at jumping in and actually using WordNet, using Wikipedia, and using Wiktionary. So I am on the main menu, and
Speech on.
turn my speech on, and hopefully
Terminal.
everybody can hear that. And I'm using a English North America Sharona voice for my menu voices, and my content voice is set to Will, and we'll get into that in a moment. But I'm going to show us, kind of walk us through the steps in configuring your command keys. This becomes very important as you start to move around between your editor and your books, or between your terminal and your calculator, or between your, maybe you want a key, a command key that is, to give you the battery status or tell you the time. You can configure either of the 6 command keys to perform a Braille keyboard command. And that's very useful because there are lots and lots of Braille keyboard commands, and new ones are introduced with almost every update, including this one. And you can customize a command key to trigger one of those keyboard shortcuts. So if you find yourself constantly looking something up on Wiktionary, maybe you want to just add that to command key 4, so that instead of pressing, enter with dots 2, 5, 6, you might just want to press command key 4 instead. So I'll show you how to do that. We also allow you to customize the main menu. Keep that in mind as well, because that allows you to get rid of certain apps you may never use. You might never ever use the calculator, or you may never want to look at the user guide, or you may not want certain services in various places. So you can turn those on and off. I'm going to come into the options menu, so I'm going to press space with O.
User settings.
And the first option that you'll have here is user settings. And if you don't, you can press U until you find user settings. And I'm going to press enter or a cursor router key on user settings. Again, enter is .8. A cursor router key is any of the buttons above any Braille cell. So going to press a cursor router key to come into user settings.
Airplane mode off.
First thing you hear is that airplane mode is off, which is good. I'm not on an airplane. They would not appreciate my conducting a webinar on any sort of flight. But I'm going to press the letter C as in configure until I get down to the option that says
Cursor. Confirm delete. Command keys configuration.
Command keys configuration. So again, you'll press C until you get down to command keys configuration, and then you're placed into a list. So I'm going to press enter or a cursor router key here on this option, command keys configuration.
Command key 1 default.
And you will be placed in a list where each command key can now be programmed. And by default, if the command key has its normal behavior, it will say default. And it's up to you to know what the defaults are, right? The default behavior of command key 1 would be to move up in any, menu item or list, or the default behavior of command key 4 would be to move between language profiles, and so on. So if you want to change one of these, let's just say I want command key 1 to always bring me into the Braille terminal. Now, the Braille terminal shortcut at any point in time, if I ever want to get into it, is backspace and enter with the letter T as in terminal. So backspace and enter, meaning dots 7 and 8 with 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to press enter here on command key 1 where it says command key 1 default. So I press enter.
Enter Braille command.
And I hear it say enter Braille command, meaning what do I want to happen when I press command key 1? Well, I want it to perform the Braille terminal global shortcut. So I'm going to press enter, backspace, and dots 2, 3, 4, and 5 all together.
Command key 1 backspace plus enter dots 2, 3, 4, 5.
And now you hear it says that command key 1 is mapped to enter plus backspace plus dots 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can move through the other command keys now.
Command key 2 default.
So command key 2 is set to default. Let's say I want to make command key 2 the shortcut to get into the Victor Reader application. So again, I'm going to press enter here where it says command key 2 default.
Enter Braille command.
Now this time, I'm going to press backspace enter with the letter V, 1, 2, 3, 6.
Command key 2 backspace plus enter dots 1, 2, 3, 6.
Okay, so I've mapped the command key 1, which is my top left command key, well, to the left of my Braille display, to go into the terminal. Command key 2 will now go into my Victor Reader. And again, you could do this for any of these command keys.
Command key. Save configuration.
Now, once you're done with mapping your 6 command keys, you want to press enter on save configuration. Okay. You also
Command key 6.
have,
Save
if you
configuration.
don't do that, nothing will happen, right? They won't be saved. But you also have the ability to revert or to change the command keys back to their default. So to do that, before I save my configuration, let's just say I want maybe command key 5 is mapped to something crazy and I don't remember it or I don't want it to be mapped that way. And I want it to go back to just being regular whatever command key 5 would do. If I find the option,
Command key 5, backspace, plus, enter, dots, 1, 2, 3, 6.
right? So I have it mapped to Victor Reader as well, and I've just changed that to Command key 2. If I want to bring, so it says Command key 5 is currently mapped to backspace and enter plus 1, 2, 3, and 6. I want to bring that back to just being Command key 5. So I'm going to press enter or a cursor router key on it,
Enter Braille command.
and I'm just going to now press Command key 5.
Command key 5, default.
And it will reset it to its default. So if you press the corresponding command key where it says enter Braille command, if you press that command key that you're trying to map, it will revert it back to its default behavior. So you can easily either map new Braille commands or change them, to back to their default. Now, you cannot map one command key to another command key because that would just start to create redundancy loops that I'd feel like I was in some sort of science fiction movie. You can't map command key 1 to do what command key 2 would do if command key 2 was doing the default behavior. That would just get wild. You can map the command keys either to their default behavior or to a Braille command of your choice. Okay, once you map those, again, press S.
Save configuration.
We'll go to Save Configuration.
Command keys configuration.
And now I have them saved. So if I press Command key 1, I will go right to my Braille terminal. I'm just going to press Command key 1.
USB connection.
And we hear right away it says USB connection. So that I can go to my USB connection, or if I hit space, I'm in my list.
HCAL.
Here's my laptop.
Fun and such.
That is my phone, and so on. So again, Command key 1 brings me there. If I press Command key 2 at this point, I will jump into Victor Reader. And I'm actually in Access World, which is what we're going to use in a moment. So I just pressed Command key 2, and it brought me right into the Victor Reader app, into the magazine I'm looking at. And if I want to jump back to the terminal, I can press Command key 1. You could still absolutely use the global shortcuts. If you forgot what you mapped those to, and I just press backspace enter T for terminal, or backspace enter V for Victor Reader, or backspace enter E for editor, those will still work as well, even if a command key is mapped to the same shortcut. So this was something a lot of users had asked for quite some time, and we brought that in this year to allow you to map your command keys to any Braille commands of your choosing. Now, I am in the Access World magazine for this month, and this is Access World is a great publication on lots of accessible technology and various things. And I want to demonstrate again this Wikipedia, Wiktionary sort of WordNet side of things. This will work in the Victor Reader app, and these commands will work in the editor. These are going to be, they're not global shortcut commands. You're not going to be able to launch Wikipedia when you're in the calculator, or if you're just anywhere else. These work when you are in a text reading application like the editor or Victor Reader. Now, I am in this book, and I'm in this magazine. This is Access World, and I'm going to move down.
Accessible shopping.
Okay, and you hear Will is now my content voice, and that's why Will speaks accessible shopping, which is this category. And I'm going to read this, accessible shopping. Now, this is on the Target and Macy's, a review of desktop website and iOS accessibility. Here in the United States, those are two very big department stores that lots of people like to shop at, and Access World has performed a review on their websites. Now, let's just say, again, I want to look up an article on Wikipedia. Now, I see that this is about Target and Macy's. I am pretty sure Macy's has a Wikipedia page. So what I'm going to do is I am going to route my cursor to the word
Macy's.
You hear it says Macy's, and my cursor is on the word Macy's, MACY''S. If I want to look up this word on Wikipedia, I can press
Wikipedia.
Enter
Macy's
with W. So enter with 2, 4, 5, 6. And what will happen is I'm brought into an edit field where I see the word Wikipedia, and then in the edit field, I have the word Macy's. So again, if you route your cursor onto a word and you press enter with W, that word will be populated into a Wikipedia search. If I press enter,
Loading.
and again, I have to
Results found.
have a Wi-Fi
1.
connection for this.
Macy's renamed itself Macy's, Incorporated in 2007. It is the largest department store company by retail sales in the United States as of 2023. Update: Macy's operates with
Complete article.
And you hear that I have 50 results. So again, I need a Wi-Fi connection. And if I have a Wi-Fi connection, when I press enter, it loads the search results in Wikipedia. And I have 50 to choose from. The first one is the one I want. If I want to move through them, I can use my next thumb key.
2.
Macy's, Incorporated. Following year, both the Macy's and Bloomingdale's brands had replaced them nationwide.
So again, you will
Ultimate
get
1.
your various
Macy's
results that you can move
renamed
through.
itself Macy's,
And
Incorporated.
I'm going to press
in
enter
2000.
to actually load the full
Loading.
article. So again, you get your search results. If you want to actually load one, you will press enter and that will load in Wikipedia. And you're in this, now you're basically in the article, which is shown in an edit box that you are able to work through. Now, as I press my next thumb key in this,
Beginnings, edit.
so here's the beginnings, and then I can use my inner right thumb key and read through this. 19th century, right? There's the Macy's logo that I can read, and I can start to read this. Although it is seen on many storefronts, Macy's, blah, 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 and I can go through this. Let's say I want to keep moving down through the different
20th
articles.
century,
Here's
edit.
20th century.
Construction of Macy's Herald Square, edit.
Cool. So I want to read about the construction of Macy's Herald Square. Now, again, I can use my inner right thumb key and read the main article about this. So you're using your previous and next thumb keys to move through the major sections of the Wikipedia articles that you're in. If you want to read more information, you can certainly use your inner thumb keys, or you could press space with G and just read this all using text to speech. Depending on how you have your speech settings set, if you have it set to pan, to read content after panning, every time you press your inner right thumb key, it will read what is on your Braille display as well. So keep that in mind. But this is a quick way to pull up articles as you read to refer, or maybe you want to do some quick validation of something, or look up something that catches your fingertips, and you can do that right from within a book, as I did here. I could look up Macy's because maybe I've never heard of Macy's, or I'm unsure as to what this word I'm seeing is, and I want to know, what is that place? What is that city? Do they have a Wikipedia page? And I can read about that city. To get out of this, I can press space with E.
1.
Macy's.
Again, that
renamed
brings you
itself
back to
Macy's,
the search result. I press it
Incorporated.
again, and I'm back. So again, space with E twice, and now I'm back in my book. Now, let's say that we want to look up a word. So again, I'm
And Peter, just to quickly
Yeah.
interrupt there,
Yeah.
for those Mantis users out there, this exactly is the same. So if you want to bring up that word, it's Control plus Shift plus W. That's the shortcut to get access to the Wikipedia search. So everything else is identical. It's just the shortcut, of course. Control, Shift, and W.
Control Shift W as in Wikipedia. And remember, on the Brailliant BI20 and 40X, it is Enter with W. So I'm back in my Access World for this month, and I have stumbled upon a word I just don't know. I've never read this word before. The word is review. It's a very challenging word. I don't know what it means. I want to look up the word review. Now, there are two options here. Now, this, again, will depend on where you are in the world and depend on, what you're kind of looking for. The WordNet option, which is an offline option, is specific to the English US dictionary. And so you're going to get spellings and definitions specific to English North America. It is helpful. Andrew and I have battles daily, weekly, not hourly, I'd say daily, on where to use our Z's and S's, right? We always have these great competitions on whose spelling is correct. So certainly if you're looking for, definitions are generally the same, but the spellings may change, because if you're looking up a word in WordNet, which is the offline dictionary, that is going to be presented with the North American spellings. But it is a great option because it is offline. It does not require an internet connection. We do have an online option I'll talk about in a moment, but this would be an offline option. Now, again, I route my cursor into the word I want to get, which is review.
Review.
We hear Will says review. And to pull up WordNet, what I can do, to pull up WordNet, I can press space with the letter D as in dictionary, space with 145. And it will bring the word under my cursor into focus. So here I have review, right? And it's all underlined. And if I press enter,
Loading.
It will load this. And now I'm presented with an overview of the noun review. And if I press my next thumb key,
the noun review has 10 senses, first 3 from tagged texts.
What this does is you hear that there are 10 different senses, and the first 3 are from tagged texts, meaning sometimes, again, in these dictionaries, it will present to you words or strings that are tagged from elsewhere.
1. 4. Reappraisal, revaluation, review, reassessment, a new appraisal or.
So again, you're hearing a new appraisal or, and I can read through this.
1.
And if I want
4.
to,
Reappraisal, revaluation, review,
I am able to select
a new appraisal or.
I'm able to select this text if I want to by using my standard editing command. So again, I have a new appraisal or evaluation, right? That is what a review, the first definition says. If I route my cursor to the beginning of that definition, it's in parentheses. I can press enter with S to start selection.
Selection start.
We hear in my menu voice say selection start. I route my cursor to the end of the selection.
Evaluation.
And I can end it with enter plus S.
Selection end.
Okay. And now this definition, a new appraisal or evaluation, is copied to my clipboard. I can press backspace with Y
Copied.
to copy that definition to the clipboard if I wanted to then paste it into my Braille editor or into my text editor. I could easily do that. So these are editable is what I'm getting at here. You can review these by pressing your next thumb key to get to the various definitions.
2. Review, critique, critical review, review article, and essay or.
Right. So again, and you can read through these with your thumb keys, depending on what your panning settings are. You can have it read after each time you hit your inner right thumb key and vice versa. But this is an offline dictionary. So space with the letter D as in dictionary. Andrew, what is the Mantis command to launch WordNet?
So for the WordNet, it's Control plus Shift plus the letter D. That will give you the WordNet search. And just for clarification, Peter, the WordNet is also giving you the British English as well.
Does it do British English? I don't know why I was assuming it was always US. Okay. Look, so we don't have to fight about anything.
Exactly.
Awesome. So you will get both, but it will, it does not require an internet connection. This is an offline dictionary. All right. I press space with E to get out of WordNet and back into my file. And again, we're going to do the same thing, but this time with Wiktionary. And Wiktionary is an open source user kind of created dictionary like Wikipedia, which also can be very, very helpful. And Wiktionary requires an internet connection. And Wiktionary gives you, it oftentimes can give you a lot more etymology. It gives you, information on the word and its origins. And there's lots of things that Wiktionary can provide. And we find it to be very helpful. I definitely will use it sometimes as I'm reading, especially I was a history major, so I read lots of old books, and there's lots of odd words that I will stumble upon that might be used, in the 18th or 19th century, where I'm totally unsure of their meaning. So I'll often use Wiktionary to pull up some of these pieces. So when I'm on a word, and again, we'll just do this with the word review. If I am on a word and I want to bring it into Wiktionary, what I can do, and again, we'll get the
Wiktionary
shortcut in a moment
review.
from the Mantis side of things. I can press enter with dots 2, 5, and 6. This is a dropped D. So again, enter with 2, 5, and 6 is the shortcut to bring your word under cursor into the Wiktionary edit box. So I will press enter.
Loading. 50. Results found. 1.
review, also, review borrowed from English review. EPA, key, / r open eve ju / hyphenation, review M or N, strong, genitive reviews, plural reviews, or review F, genitive.
Complete article.
Now again, this gets a bit more in depth because you have your schwas, your modifiers, various things that look odd sometimes on a Braille display for the pronunciation side of things. These are presented though in a list, and you can press enter to bring up the full article on the word review. So if I do that, if I press enter, it will load, as it
Loading.
did with Wikipedia, all of this into an easy to consume sort of box that breaks everything down. If I press my next thumb key once it is loaded,
German, edit.
so you were presented with whatever this page has.
Etymology, edit. Pronunciation, edit. EPA, noun, edit.
Okay.
Usage notes, edit. Review is one of a small number of German nouns which can or.
So again, you're getting the origin of the word. You're getting, all of this history, if you will, of the word, and including its definition. But a lot of times this is used to kind of really understand how a word came to be and all its different uses, or synonyms, antonyms. All of these different things will be listed here, and you can kind of decipher through, again, whatever Wiktionary presents you with. If you press space with E, you will be returned to your search results.
1.
Review.
Just like you
also,
were with
review
Wikipedia.
borrowed from
And if I press space with E a second time, I will then revert to my my Access World book. So again, 3 services that are added here. One is the offline dictionary of WordNet. WordNet is something that we can get to by pressing space with D. Control Shift D on your Mantis units. Wikipedia, Control Shift W or Enter with W on your Brailliant BI20 and 40X. And Wiktionary, what is the shortcut for the Wiktionary application? Andrew Flatris on the Mantis.
Control key plus the letter D.
Control D. Whereas on the Brailliant BI20 and 40X, enter with 256. So we hope these will be helpful. We certainly have had. I'm one of those people who go down the Wikipedia rabbit hole from time to time, and I start reading about like D-cell batteries, and then the next thing you know, I'm reading about the origin of like the bonnets that women wore in the 1800s, and then I've just lost a lot of time in my life I'll never get back, and I just I'll do this. It happens. It's a real thing. I think I'd rather do that than go down the TikTok rabbit hole. So bring yourselves to Wikipedia, maybe entertaining, but certainly we can all fall into those traps. I want to come back to the main menu
Terminal.
and talk about pairing Bluetooth audio devices. So we now allow you not only to pair a Braille display with your Brailliant or your Mantis, but also to bring in obviously your external devices. Now on the Mantis, we have added text to speech that is available only through Bluetooth. So keep that in mind. There are no internal speakers on the Mantis. So with the Mantis, if you want to use speech settings, we've added an entire menu. There it is within your options menu there in your settings area. You will have the ability to come in and customize your speech. That will only work with an external Bluetooth headset or speaker. On the BI20 or 40X, we do have internal speakers, but we now allow you to bring that audio out to a headset or to a Bluetooth speaker. This is something that was asked for a long time, and it also helps a lot when I'm presenting or doing things at shows, or maybe I have a book I want to listen to, and the internal speakers just aren't loud enough. I have some unprotected DAISY audio that I like to hear, and I just don't get enough juice from the internal speakers. What you can do if you come into your options area,
User settings.
now I pressed space with O to go in here. At this point, what I can do is press the letter B for Bluetooth.
Bluetooth.
And now that I'm in Bluetooth, what I'll have
Bluetooth on. Pair audio device.
is a new option that says pair audio device. And this would be where I go to actually bring in, if I have a speaker or a headset, to search for and pair to my audio device. If I press enter here,
Loading.
I do have a speaker. I might not have put it in pairing mode. Give me 1 second.
Loading.
It's
No
important
device
to
There we
found.
go.
important to
Yeah,
note here,
go ahead,
Peter, as
Andrew.
well, is obviously you can still, if you want to connect your Braille display to a host computer, you can still use the just press and hold of the
Connect
enter key,
device.
which will put it into that terminal state. But it's completely different
Yes.
when you want to pair your audio devices. You have to go through this procedure, as
Yes.
Peter is demonstrating.
So again, you'll put your speaker in pairing mode, and then
Pair
you come
audio
here
device.
and you go to pair audio
Loading.
device, and it will load, and it's going to look for any devices that are in discovery
Loading.
mode near you. Now, in a perfect world, this will work for me because I do.
Audio.
There we go.
Windows CB08.
So I have a Sonos Roam unit, and again, we do not guarantee that every single speaker will work perfectly the first time. Bluetooth has so many iterations and different types of protocols that fall into what a Bluetooth speaker is. Some will work perfectly. I have pair of AirPods Pro that work no problem. Actually, I used to. Someone took them, and now they're floating around the city of Baltimore. That's a whole different story. But the AirPods connect immediately. The Sonos Roam, I've had it sometimes some struggles with, where it says it's connected and it takes it a second to actually obtain the connection. We do not make guarantees that every single speaker or headset will work, but we can say with pretty much, with fair certainty that most of your Bluetooth speakers and headsets will connect without issue. Now, again, I went to options, I go into my user settings, I come into pair audio device, I press enter here, it looks for them, and here's my Sonos. I'm not going to pair this because we'll lose my speech for the purposes of demonstration's sake, but if I press enter here, it will connect and it will pair my device. Once your device is paired, I'm going to come back to the main menu.
Terminal.
We now have a new shortcut to review those audio devices. And again, this shortcut is backspace and enter with the letter A as in audio. That will bring up your paired devices
Bluetooth audio devices.
so that you
AirPods
can
Pro.
manage
Find my.
which one you want to connect to. And I here you see my AirPods Pro, my poor AirPods Pro that are floating around with some dishonest hotel worker around the city of Baltimore. I could pair to them if I was near that person and send them lots of messages. But I see that when I press backspace and enter with the letter A, I'm able to pull up my audio devices. So this is how you could quickly switch between your AirPods and your Sonos Roam or your Sony headset or something.
Close.
If I come down, I have a close option. But if I want to, again, this is where I would go to manage
AirPods
which
Pro.
device
Find
I'm
my.
connected to. Now,
For
again, you
Mantis
have all
users
of.
as well,
Yeah,
just for the
go ahead,
Mantis
Andrew.
users,
Terminal.
that backspace enter A that Peter is referring to is on the Mantis. It's a control function with A. Control function.
Function A. You could tell I did all of my beta testing on a Brailliant, and I did very little on the Mantis. Although I made sure all this worked, but I was mainly going through the menu options. So, again, though, this is how we can connect a peripheral, Bluetooth device. As Andrew said, if I want to pair a Braille display with my screen reader, that is a different process. Your Braille display needs to become discoverable, and you press and hold Enter for about 5 seconds to bring yourself into discovery mode. It is a completely different process than than pairing with a Bluetooth speaker, because one is you need to pair. It's a totally different sort of protocol. It's a very different option to use the Brailliant as a terminal versus using it as just something that's outputting audio to a Bluetooth speaker. Keep in mind, if you are paired to a Bluetooth speaker, when you go into your terminal, that pairing will disconnect and you will be using your device in terminal mode with your screen reader. And it has to switch channels, has to change itself up. Certainly, the more Bluetooth devices you have, you can connect to 5 host devices as a terminal simultaneously. Your audio, you can have multiple audio devices, but you're only connecting to one at a time. So keep that in mind. Quickly, I'm going to jump in and show us where some of the new voices live, just in case you're curious. So I'm going to come into my options menu. And when I do that, here, once I'm in, there's a couple of sorry, I'm turned speech on.
Speech on.
I can press the letter S.
Software. speech settings.
To come down here to speech settings, and I'm going to press enter.
Download language and voices.
And if you're not at this option, you can press D to come down to download language and voices. And remember, you can have 2 voices simultaneously on a Brailliant or Mantis. That is 2, as in 2. That's what our licensure allows for. So one could be your content voice. You certainly could have your menu voice, and your content voice set as the same thing. You can have an additional voice, which may be either another language you are familiar with that you read and write in, or maybe just another voice you want to hear. If I come here into download language and voices,
change menu voice, Sharona.
This is where I could change my menu voice.
Change additional voice, Will.
Or change my additional voice. Now, Will is my additional voice, currently set as my content voice. If I press enter here on change additional voice,
Arabic.
I'm presented with the languages that we support, starting with Arabic and going through all of them. There are new voices available, as Andrew mentioned. There is no way to sample these voices on this device. The voices, if you want to hear what they sound like, you can look them up on YouTube. We don't have sample clips that would stream or allow you to hear them. That's just not the way this device works. It's a very offline process. So you have to download the voices that you may want. Downloading doesn't take too long. So certainly if you're unsure and you don't want to go to YouTube and kind of look up what the voice sounds like, you can definitely get a quick, a quick kind of download and see if it's something you want to listen to. But if I come here into English,
Australia, English Canada.
We do have, again, in English Canada, there is a new voice here.
Melanie.
That is Melanie. Melanie is also a new Canadian French voice. So actually, Melanie, as a bilingual voice, will do English and French. You may have 2 different profiles set up, one of English, one of French, and they may use, both of those voices, and you press enter with L, or maybe you route, you map your command key 4 to do that, and you move between your different profiles for reading and writing in those languages. So we do have new voices here. Again, you go to, in your options menu, go to user settings, speech settings, and then download language and voices. Choose the voice you would like to add or replace, and then you're able to kind of move through the different languages offered and pick a voice you would like. Once you download that voice, just because you have a voice downloaded, so just because I have an additional voice doesn't mean that is my content voice. It's very important that you go into your language profile and make sure that you have your content voice set properly on the profile that is in use. I think the number one kind of confusion, and the reason why it exists is we like to have highly customizable devices, which certainly for some can lead to confusion. And the confusion here is your content, meaning your books, your editor, that content is read by your content voice. And if you do not have a content voice set in your language profile, you will go in, you'll hear the menus spoken fine, and the second you go into a book, nothing happens. And everyone's like, well, everything talks, and then I opened up my magazine and nothing would read. So keep in mind, these voices do not read Braille content. So BRF files and such are not read with speech. But in your Victor Reader or your editor, your text editor, their keypad editor, that content is read by your content voice.